Skittle-do, I said bim bop. Skittle-do, I said bim. Skittle-do, I said skid out and bop. Skittle-do, I said bim bop boom. Skittle-do, I said bim bop. Skittle-do, I said bim. Skittle-do, I said skid out and bop. Skittle-do, I said bim bop boom.
All right, we're now in this third major section, chapters 8 through 11. We've seen that there's a transition between the seals and the trumpets. The 7 seals now give rise to the 7 trumpets. And there's prayer that has gone up to God. God, aren't you going to do anything? And now the answer we're going to receive by way of the trumpets is yes. And let's talk about the first 4 trumpets first. They're a group which is very clear as you continue to read. These trumpets are warning calls or warning signs to those who are the persecutors of Christians, those who are in the world, who don't know God and don't listen to Him and are rebellious and wicked. There are these warnings that God is sending again and again throughout history. Let's read through the first 4 trumpets. Chapter 8, verse 7 says this, "The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood. It was hurled down on the earth. A third of the earth was burned up, a third of the trees were burned up, and all the green grass was burned up." That's the first trumpet. Here's the second trumpet in verses 8 and 9. "The second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a huge mountain all ablaze was thrown into the sea. A third of the sea turned into blood, a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed." Now the third trumpet, verses 10 and 11. "The third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star, blazing like a torch, fell from the sky on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter, and many people died from the waters that became bitter." And now the fourth trumpet, verse 12. "The fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, a third of the stars, so that a third of them turned dark. A third of the day was without light, and also a third of the night." Now, as we begin to talk about what are these trumpets all about, it's really helpful to know that there's a parallel between the 7 trumpets that we find here in chapter 8 and a parallel with the 7 bowls that we're going to read about in chapter 16. The order of them is exactly the same. So the first trumpet concerns the earth or the land. The second trumpet concerns the seas. The third trumpet concerns the fresh water, rivers and springs of water. And then the fourth trumpet concerns the sun, moon, and stars. If you look at chapter 16, you'll find that the bowls follow exactly the same order. The first bowl concerns the land or the earth, the second the seas, the third the fresh water, and then the fourth the sun, moon, and stars. And you'll even see that with the later trumpets and bowls as well, that there's a parallel. Here's what's important. Trumpets only harm a third of everything. There's a third of this, a third of that, a third of the land, a third of the trees, a third of the grass, a third of the creatures in the sea. Everything's a third, but when we get to the bowls, it's not just partial or initial, it's total and it's final. And even the trumpet itself, a trumpet is used as a warning call. So if there's an invading army coming and there's a watchman who sees that army in the distance, they sound the trumpets in order to warn people. And that's the idea here, that throughout history, God is giving warnings. And probably the best way to interpret this is just to say that there's all kinds of natural disasters that take place on the earth. You might think of volcanoes and earthquakes. In the sea, you might think of hurricanes or tsunamis or storms. In the freshwater, you might think of any number of disasters that take place there, and even in the celestial bodies. Throughout history, there's always all kinds of natural disasters that are taking place throughout the earth, where people die and where destruction comes. And all these things are meant to warn people. Listen, you can't rebel against God forever. You can't just go your own way forever. You may in your pride think, hey, I've got everything I need. I don't need God. But these trumpet calls, they're warnings. Whenever we see natural disasters of any kind, whether it's an earthquake or whether it's a storm out at sea, it's a warning. These things are so much more powerful than us. We don't have what it takes to live without God. And so God is constantly showing his power in the world to warn people and get them to repent and turn back to him. Hey everybody, thanks for taking time to watch this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, make sure to like, comment, share this on your social media feeds. We want to encourage you to come out on Sunday morning to Sunlight Community Church. Our service times are 9 and 11. And if you'd like to learn more about the book of Revelation and you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and you can watch these episodes from the beginning and see the entire series. Thanks so much.